going? There we go. So again, thank you for being here this evening. My name is Michelle Swain. I'm the Director of Gifted and Advanced Academic Services, and I am here to share with you information about the PSAT, SAT, and ACT, and how you can increase the college readiness of your student, or if you are the student, increase the college readiness of yourself. So the way we are going to do this evening is I'm going to be going through all of the slides. I'm going to ask that if you have any questions that you save them till the end, or that you do put them in the chat. And then at the end, we'll go to the chat and I'll see if there are any questions that I have not already answered. So we'll go ahead and get started. Maybe. There we go. So again, we have actually already muted your microphone, and we've enabled the chat feature for you to ask questions there if you need to, or you can wait till the end in case we may answer your question as we go through the presentation, and then ask that you join us for the Q&A at the end of the session. So our goal tonight is to understand the way college readiness assessments factor into admissions decisions, to learn how to use PSAT results to practice and improve performance on the SAT, and to explore the differences between the SAT and the ACT. So college readiness assessments and the admissions process is going to be where we start, kind of the establishing the why are we doing this? And then we're going to walk through each of those, and then in the end, we're going to compare the SAT and the ACT. So we know that there's a lot of factors that impact college admissions. So certainly grade point average is one of the most impactful. And ACT and SAT scores are as well. A lot of people are thinking right now with the way things have been with the pandemic, that those are not considered if a college has gone test optional. But the reality is test optional does not mean that they will not look at the test or take the test scores if you send them. It just means that if you don't have them, or if you don't want to share them, you do not have to. But there's a lot of reasons you might still want to share those SAT or ACT scores with an institute of higher education, and we're going to talk about those reasons. You also want to think about the high school courses that are taken and the strength of schedule that you have. They always look for, are there some advanced courses on that transcript? Not necessarily that every course has to be advanced, but that there are some. Any extracurricular activities that the student is involved in. Also looking at community service. And then most applications have some sort of essay, whether they use the essay on the Common App or Applied Texas, or if they have their own essays that they look at. And then there are usually letters of recommendations, and in some cases there may be an interview process that is involved. So college readiness assessment scores are really similar in terms of how they are used. So they cover the same or similar content. They do play into admissions decisions. And again, if you are looking at a college or university that says they are test optional, you can certainly bet that they are probably using those for program decisions and course placement. So you might not need to have that score to get into the university, but to get into a particular college or to get into a particular program at that college, or to place out of a particular level of coursework, you might need those scores. They are used in awarding merit-based scholarships, such as presidential scholarships and other kinds of scholarships that look at students' performance level. They are also looked at in terms of NCAA eligibility, and in terms of just which one is better. Again, most colleges don't have a preference of one over the other. So how can a good SAT or ACT score help a student? Again, this is taken from a video that was done through College Board's Big Future. The reality is these scores can help open doors to more options. So it can give students access to a wider variety of colleges and universities than they might have thought they were previously able to attend and participate in. They can help guide your choices for colleges, programs, and majors. So some majors have a certain score that they're looking for in some colleges and universities. They can definitely help you qualify for scholarships, particularly, like I said, those merit-based scholarships. They also help colleges find you through the students search feature on the SAT and ACT. Colleges and universities can find students that fit a profile that they're looking for if you've enabled that feature on the assessment. And so if you are not looking for a D1 school that has a huge football team that you can watch on Saturday, but instead you're looking for a more specialized experience, or maybe a smaller school or a school a little bit farther away, that can help those colleges find you so that you can explore those opportunities. It helps you focus on the skills needed for college and avoid having to take remedial courses. So it helps, again, with that placement. So the SAT suite of assessments is comprised of the PSAT 8-9, which is what we give in 8th grade in Round Rock, and it sets that baseline for readiness, kind of gives us an idea of where we're starting. The PSAT and Msqt is what we give in 10th and 11th grade. That not only allows us to check in on their progress, but it gives us some tools and resources to look at for helping students identify areas that they might want to improve, and also classes that they might be a good fit for in terms of advanced coursework. And then the SAT is what connects students to college. It is the assessment that does provide that score for college readiness going into college. We're going to look at the ACT in a moment, but in looking deeper at the SAT suite, these are the way the scores kind of stack up. And presumably, if you get a certain score on the PSAT 8-9, that is predictive of the score that you would have received on that same section on the SAT or the PSAT and Msqt, as you can see by this chart. So if I am an 8th grader and I get a 600, I can be presumed to have also gotten a 600 had I taken the PSAT and Msqt or the actual SAT. The reason the scales are different is because there are different skills that are assessed on the PSAT 8-9, because students are still learning content that would not have been presented yet at that age, whereas it would have been presented by the time they are expected to take the SAT their junior year of high school. So let's go back and look a little bit more closely at each of these. What is the PSAT? It is the preliminary SAT that is taken in October in our district by students in 8th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade. It focuses on those things that they should have learned in high school and need to succeed in college. It's not focused on all the little nitty-gritty. It's focused on the basic skills and knowledge. And preparation is just taking challenging courses, completing homework, preparing for your assessments, and actively engaging in questioning. So when we talk about the PSAT, there's not a ton of prep that goes into it. It's really kind of setting that baseline, at least with your PSAT 8-9 and maybe your PSAT 10. There is some prep that you might want to do between the 10th and 11th grade, particularly to look at national merit qualifying. There's no penalty on the PSAT for guessing. Again, the 8-line is baseline and diagnostic. The 10th grade, we're looking at AP potential to find students who are showing a pattern of performance that might indicate that they could do very well in a particular AP course. It's also used as a diagnostic to help students then go on and prepare for the 11th grade PSAT, which is used as a National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. There are a set of sections: reading, writing, and language, and math, so 3 sections. And within those 3 sections, there are a set of key content features. So within that, you're going to be looking at words in context, command of evidence, the math that matters most, problems grounded in real-world context. So those are kind of like what we used to consider word problems, analysis in science and in history and social studies, and then looking at our U.S. founding documents and the great global conversation. So what do we do with the PSAT scores? We want to improve on those scores. So we want to review them and improve. So don't file them away. You may have just gotten them within the last month or 6 weeks. Instead, you're going to want to use a variety of resources that are available on the College Board website. And we're going to look at a couple of those here in a moment that will help you understand how to read those results, how to understand those results, and how to then link your PSAT scores to a Khan Academy account for personalized practice, as well as to look at the Skills Insight tool, which helps you look at each question and what you did well and what you might need to do differently in the future. So here is that video that talks about understanding your PSAT and Msqt score report. And I'm hoping that we'll
Congratulations on taking the PSAT and Msqt. Now it's time to see your scores, which you can get on your phone or a computer. The first thing you'll see is your total score, which is a combination of your scores on the evidence-based reading and writing and math sections. These scores give you an idea of how you'll do on the SAT and how ready you are for college. Your test scores, cross-test scores, and sub-scores give you even more details about how you did in specific areas. Scores in green show your strengths. Scores in yellow and red help you understand where you need to improve. Go to Skills Insight to dig even deeper and see what your scores say about your skills and how you can develop them further. Thinking about your scores and making a plan to improve are important steps towards college. The PSAT and Msqt has provided millions of eligible students with the opportunity to enter the National Merit Scholarship Program, an annual academic competition for recognition and scholarships. Go to the NMSC Selection Index section to see if you meet the entry requirements. You can also use your PSAT and Msqt scores to start preparing for the SAT. Go to satpractice.org to create and link your College Board and Khan Academy accounts to get started. Your PSAT and Msqt test scores will get imported into Khan Academy and give you a personalized SAT study plan to help you practice the areas where you need the most work. Most students take the SAT in the spring of their junior year and again in August or the fall of their senior year. Don't forget to register. Taking challenging classes is another great way to prepare for college. The AP Potential section of your score report tells you which AP classes would be great for you. Speak to your teacher or counselor to learn more about AP. You can also explore careers based on your interests and then find compatible college and career options. Here's a quick recap. Don't forget to review your scores, learn more about scholarship and recognition opportunities, practice and register for the SAT, find the AP classes that are best for you, and explore college and career options.
Okay, so I know that was a lot of information pretty quickly presented, but the good news is that slide or that video is available on both the College Board website as well as our district SAT website. Another video that I want to show you real quick speaks to that Khan Academy linkage and how you can sign up, link up, and get practicing.
Do you know that once you receive your PSAT and Msqt test results, you get immediate access to free, personalized practice for the SAT on Khan Academy? Your results will help create an SAT study plan just for you, focused on the areas where you need the most help. Just follow these 3 simple steps. Step 1, go to satpractice.org to create an account on Khan Academy or sign into your existing account. Step 2, choose to link your College Board and Khan Academy accounts while you're signing up or from your account dashboard. Step 3, create a College Board account or sign into your existing account and click Send to send your scores. Now you're all set to save time with personalized practice based on your test results. So sign up, link up, get practicing.
So that is a really great resource that is provided by College Board to support our students in preparing for whatever their next assessment is, particularly if they're preparing for the SAT. And along those lines, they've done some research, and in looking at students' participation in the official SAT practice through Khan Academy, they found that if a student does nothing, they just attend classes and they just continue learning based on whatever their curriculum is, they will still see a 60-point increase between their PSAT to their SAT. But if they spend just 6 hours of practice on Khan Academy doing the official SAT practice, they can realize an average 90-point increase. And if they spend 20 hours over the course of time between their PSAT and their SAT doing that official SAT practice, they can realize on average a 115-point increase. And that can make the difference between getting into a particular school, getting into a particular program, accessing a particular scholarship. So it really does make a difference. And the beautiful thing is this is free practice that is aligned to their personal performance on the PSAT. And so in our district, we've kind of got a catchphrase, did you do your 22? So if anybody asks your junior if they did their 22, this is what they're talking about. Getting over 20 hours of practice in on Khan Academy between the PSAT and the SAT administration really makes a difference in performance. So what do we do with those PSAT scores? We not only review them, but we expand on them. So here are the websites and the other uses for these. Look at that SAT Readiness site for roundrockisd.org for those videos, as well as more information on how to link to Khan Academy and how to engage in that practice. We use the AP Potential tool to help select courses, and you can explore the National Merit Scholarship Program if your student is interested in that. If you've particularly got a student that is not yet a junior and has not taken that junior PSAT, that is the qualifying score for the National Merit Program. And then College Board has this wonderful thing called the Opportunity Scholarships. And so here's a video that highlights what these scholarships are. And the beautiful thing about these scholarships is they are available for students just for doing what they need to do in the process of getting from high school to college.
Everyone's path to college is unique. Some are filled with twists and turns. Some start in unexpected places, and some go further than ever seemed possible. Each journey is different, but there are steps every student should take. Introducing the College Board Opportunity Scholarships, a new program open to every student that guides you through the college planning process and gives you an opportunity to earn scholarships for every step you take. Complete them all, and you could earn the biggest reward, a $40,000 scholarship. Okay, so what are the steps? Step 1, build your college list. It will change along the way, but it's important to start exploring. So just jump in. Step 2, practice for the SAT on Khan Academy. Practice is how you get better at everything. The SAT's no different. Step 3, improve your score. It's where all of that practice pays off. Even a small score increase on your SAT can have a big effect. Step 4, strengthen your college list. A balanced list with a variety of options gives you the best chance to find the right one for you. Step 5, complete the Fafsa. There are millions of students every year who are eligible for financial aid, but just don't complete their application. Sure, it takes some work, but at the end of it, you could get thousands to help pay for college. Step 6, apply to colleges. Because after all your hard work, an amazing opportunity could be just around the corner. The College Board Opportunity Scholarships. Learn more at cb.org/opportunity.
I think one of the exciting things about the Opportunity Scholarships is that we get notified in the district whenever any of our students earn one of the many Opportunity Scholarships that are given out along the way for the various steps in the journey. And so we get to celebrate with those Round Rock ISD students as they earn money towards paying for their college. They range from $500 all the way to the big one of $40,000 if you complete all the steps. So it's a great opportunity. I encourage you to explore that. So the next piece in the SAT suite of assessments is the actual SAT. So this is a college readiness assessment that students typically take beginning in the spring of their junior year. We do give it for free in the district for all of our juniors. And then often they take it again, either in the summer or the fall of their senior year. It's used for college admissions and scholarships. It has the same sections that the PSAT has, the reading, writing, and language, and math, and the same key content features of words and context, command of evidence, math that matters most, those problems with real-world context, and the science and social studies pieces, and the founding documents, and the global conversation. So you can see the alignment is really tight. Here is how those subtest scores kind of play out in looking at scores. What you're probably most familiar with is that top line and maybe that second line where you've got a total score that's on a 1600 scale, a sub-score of evidence-based reading and writing, or math that is on an 800 scale, and then these others you might see as kind of being new and different. So how those scores are reported out. And our colleges and universities are starting to really look at those cross-test scores and the sub-scores to figure out how a student, those scores might be used to help best place students in courses or select students for particular programs. Here is another video about the SAT school
I might not
day.
be able to find a ride for that day. I might have work that day.
Probably wouldn't have been too sure if the test was for me.
We'll have students that showed potential for advancement, but didn't take advantage of SAT. We thought this would be a great opportunity to present an SAT to a student that didn't have to take it on Saturday.
The College Board's SAT School Day program creates a unique opportunity for students to take the SAT during class hours in their own school, encouraging them to prepare for college enrollment and completion.
Now that we've been afforded the opportunity to participate in the SAT School Day program, we've grown from that 35th percentile to 90% participation in the last 3 years. The SAT School Day has put an official score report, the resources, right at the fingertips of families to give them the boost that they may not have had previously.
Since 2009, the College Board has partnered with states and school districts to administer the SAT during the school day, making it accessible to all students.
So if I have my SAT scores on my transcript and everything and all of that's handled, then it'll be easy for me to get into the colleges that I want to.
I want to be into the sports medicine field, and I have to get into a good college with a high SAT score. So with this SAT school day, it gave me the opportunity that I didn't have before to take a free SAT in school in a familiar environment and do great on it.
With SAT School Day, students can take the exam without worrying about missing work, religious obligations, or other extracurricular activities that often conflict with Saturday test days. Students increase their chances of applying to and enrolling in college.
We've definitely seen an increase in the number of students who are matriculating into post-secondary. And we feel that SAT School Day is a big part of that. I can tell you, it changes lives. I mean, everybody has the opportunity to go to college or post-secondary work. That's why we're doing this SAT on a school day.
Since we've started School Day SAT in 2010, we've increased our college enrollment. College acceptances are off the map. And we're most excited to say that our class of 2014 was offered over $250 million in scholarships and financial aid.
Well, I got accepted into the University of North Texas in Denton. I'm going to be a chemistry major. And I received the Emerald Eagle Scholarship, which pays for all my classes. So I'm really excited for that.
Helping students realize their dreams for the future. College Board SAT School Day.
So you can see why we chose to offer the SAT School Day. It does level the playing field. It lets all of our students participate. It makes sure that every student has at least one shot at taking a college readiness assessment. And there's a ton of resources that are available to you as families that have students that are taking this assessment next month. So it is going to be on March 2nd. It will be taken during the school day on campus. The video you just watched is that first link there. There is a student guide that you can access on the College Board site. There is a guide to practice and scores also on that site, and a test day checklist so you can make sure you have what you need and don't have what you don't need. And they do not want phones at the assessment center and the testing environment. So those kinds of things are important to look at. But we're excited to offer that to our students on March 2nd. We hope that they all get a really good night's sleep March 1st so that they can do their best that Wednesday morning. And we hope that they all do take advantage of that free opportunity. So now let's switch gears and talk about the ACT. Our district focuses more on the SAT because of all of the assessments leading up to the SAT and the alignment to AP potential, with being able to look at that data to determine who might be able to do well in a variety of AP classes. But the ACT is a college readiness assessment taken in the same way as the SAT in 11th and 12th grade. It is also used for college admissions and scholarships. They do have a student and parent site that has a plethora of resources to familiarize yourself with and to support you through both the registration and the preparation process. There are more sections on the ACT. You've got English, reading, math, and science. The writing section is actually optional. There is a webinar available also on that site for students and parents. And they do have some new test options that are out just recently in the last few years. One of them is that once you take the full ACT, the next time you take it, you can sign up to just take a section of it. So if you do really well on a couple of the sections and just want to focus on the other couple of sections, then you can sign up just to take those. You don't have to take the whole thing over again. Another option that they have available is called super scoring. And super scoring is when you've taken multiple administrations of the test, and there are certain tests that there are certain scores that you want to keep from one administration and certain scores you want to keep from another administration. Well, they will combine those, and that's called super scoring. So if I did really, really well on English and reading the first time I took the SAT, but not so great on math and science, and I want to focus on math and science, but I'm happy with my English and reading scores, I can just sign up to take the math and science section and just focus on preparation for those two content areas. Another new test option is online testing with the ACT. So with all of the ACT testing, we do not do that during the school day. Through Round Rock ISD, we did a pilot and the logistics didn't work out for us to do both assessments, but you can sign up on the ACT website for a testing center and go there and take it. And like I said, they do have online testing. You may have heard that the SAT is also going to online testing. That's not going to affect our current students this year. The first time it will be given online, the first available opportunity will be in the spring of 24. So our current freshmen might be able to avail themselves of that opportunity, freshmen and below. But if you are currently a sophomore or older, you would be taking the paper one still. And then just like the SAT, the ACT does have some scholarships that they provide to students, and there's more information on that on their website as well. Here is how their test breakdown falls. So you can see that English is 75 questions broken into mechanics and rhetoric. You can see that math has 3 basic sections with 60 questions total. And you can see the percentage of each of those. So for example, if you are a math student sitting in Algebra 2 and you look at those different math requirements, you don't necessarily need to worry about the trigonometry that is done typically in pre-cal. That's only 5 to 10% of the overall questions. So focus your time and your preparation in those areas that are going to be a larger percentage of the assessment. And then in the reading, you can see where the various passages are going to come from: social studies, natural sciences, and then there's some literary narrative and prose fiction, as well as humanities. And then in science, you have data representation, research summaries, conflicting points of view. So those are all the different kinds of breakdowns. And then the writing section is optional, but it is 30 minutes. So again, some supports for success on the ACT. They do have a variety of supports for that. The ACT Academy is a site that you can go to that will allow you to do some practice, some in-depth practice, as well as the rapid review and the online prep. They do have the official ACT prep guide. You can sign up for the question of the day for the ACT and have that sent to you, where you can answer a practice question every day. And then they do have practice tests. So if you are interested in learning more about that, you can look at their test preparation site and access all of those resources. So the question we get a lot is, which one do I take? And the answer is, it really does depend. So you can see the blue favors the SAT. So if your ACT score is kind of below 20, but your SAT score is above 800, you might, or above 1,000, you might fall into the SAT is more favorable. So you can just kind of look at that chart and think through. And what I like to provide as far as advice is that they're really similar. And so you might want to think about doing both of them. And seeing which one that you do the best on. So they both are looking at academic achievement. They're very content-based, what students learn in high school. You don't have a penalty for a wrong answer. So always encourage your student to guess if they're not sure. Just pick a particular response that you're going to use the entire test through, and every time you guess that response. There's no tricks or traps. They're not trying to trick you. They're multiple choice and they're timed. They're both offered multiple times a year nationally. And you get to choose which scores you're going to submit to your colleges that you are interested in. And they're typically widely accepted. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the two. They're about the same amount of time, and the SAT did do away with their essay. So they're both about 3 hours without essay. You see the different score range, the 1600 versus the 36, and the average scores, the 1060 versus the 21. The structure is pretty similar, the 3 tests versus the 4 tests. There are more questions on the ACT, but there are fewer breaks on the ACT. So that means that they are answering questions at a much more rapid pace on the ACT than on the SAT. Again, here's the test comparison in length and timing. So you've got a longer reading test, a longer math test, and then a shorter English test on the SAT, and the science test doesn't exist. So that's why the SAT examples or the SAT sections are longer, because the ACT has to adjust those sections for the most part to allow for that science piece. So again, which one? And again, my advice is take both. See which one works best for your student. You could even take the practice test first and see which one your student feels more comfortable with. Some kids really prefer the ACT because they excel in science and they feel like the focus on the science section really allows them to showcase their knowledge and skills. Other students, because they are more familiar with the format of the SAT because of the PSAT 8-9 and the PSAT and Msqt, will want to stick with the SAT. Typically, again, you're going to take at least one of them twice, just because you have the opportunity to improve from the first administration. There are a ton of graphics that are out there if you want to Google and look for SAT versus ACT. Right now, they're all going to still be focused on the SAT that is currently being given, which is the paper-based SAT. But these different graphics will give you kind of a comparison that you can sit down with your student and talk through the various components and features and decide which one of those assessments is going to be best for your student to take. Some additional resources that exist out there. The ACT to SAT score conversion chart allows you to kind of compare one to the other. That's a resource through princetonreview.com. There's an article through College Board that actually does provide a pretty balanced view of which one do you want to take. And then, of course, there's the main ACT and SAT student and parent pages that have quite a few resources available to you. And in our district, we are fortunate enough to have a considerable amount of test prep available to our students through their school experience. So most of our secondary classrooms do have some kind of use for Khan Academy during the school day, whether it's students doing it as a warm-up, whether they're doing it in advisory or in flex time. Students are able to access Khan Academy and encouraged to do so. The Princeton Review, we do have courses that we offer at various times of the year to prepare for whatever the next phase of testing is. So typically we have a national merit camp in the summer for those students who are high scoring on their 10th grade PSAT and Msqt, and we want to support them in their quest for national merit qualifying. We'll have a session that's open to all students, 10th and 11th grade, that are taking the PSAT and Msqt in October. That'll be in September and October leading up to that. And then we just are finishing in the next week our winter session, which is for juniors that are taking the SAT in March. And then it's also embedded in our college readiness and study skills course, as well as in the high school AVID 3 courses that students take their junior year if they are participating in AVID. In addition to what we do in district, there's all kinds of outside test prep companies. I am not endorsing or signifying support for any one over the others, but you might want to look on our enrichment program site, formerly the community education site, for some of these other providers that offer these courses. Or if you have a student that is of age to be interested in this, you may be seeing a lot of those kinds of communications flooding your email and flooding your mailbox at home. So we are going to stop in just a second sharing the screen and take questions. If you have additional questions after this evening, or questions that you may not feel comfortable asking in this format, feel free to email me or to reach out to your high school counselor. And honestly, your high school counselors are the ones that work with your student and know your student best. So I highly recommend taking advantage of that resource. This presentation will be available on the Future Readiness website, and there's actually past presentations that are already posted on that website. Just go to the communityeducation.roundrockisd.org Future Readiness Parent Seminars, and you will find it there. You can also get there by going to the A to Z index and looking for parent seminars. So I'm going to actually stop sharing. I was giving you an example there of assured admission, but I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And I'm not sure why my camera is no longer working. Maybe it's because I moved the presentation over. So let me see if I can turn my camera off and turn my camera on again. And there we have it. I'm back. So I noticed there are some questions in the chat. Can I share the recording and the slides to access the links? Yes, absolutely. And I showed you where to find that. The length and dates of the National Merit Summer Program. We just did our first district-wide one this last summer. And so we're in the process of reevaluating what that looks like. But that's going to be a summer program that is going to be an invitation only. We're going to look at the existing national PSAT and Msqt scores for our sophomore cohort, and the top scoring students from each campus will be invited to participate in that. We typically also, though, have another national merit, or not national merit, but PSAT and Msqt prep opportunity for students that aren't invited to that national merit opportunity in the summer. So I would be really asking your counselor, telling your student to be looking for it, looking for registration information that will come out through your campus e-news. If you don't subscribe to your campus e-news, I would hop on the website and sign up so that you get those notifications each week. That's typically where our campuses will advertise those opportunities that are open enrollment. Okay, I don't see any other questions popping up in the chat, so I am going to assume that I answered all the questions that you came into the space with. If that is an incorrect assumption, and again, you don't want to put something in the chat, then feel free to reach out in the next couple of weeks to either myself or your counselors. If you are a parent of younger students, you've got a really nice runway now to prepare you for the activity of their junior year, where they're going to take a PSAT and a Msqt as well as an SAT school day. If you are a parent of a junior, good luck. Best wishes. If you're a parent of a senior, I'm excited that you joined us, but I'm not really sure that what I provided today is going to be something new for you. So, all right, well, if there are no other, oh, we've got another question. Does the PSAT score be uploaded? I honestly don't know the answer to that. I know they were working on that, but I don't know if they have completed that connection of the PSAT 8-9 scores and Khan Academy. I know that you can go onto Khan Academy prior to taking the 10th grade PSAT and Msqt. And I want to say that they have practice tests that if that PSAT 8-9 score doesn't connect, you can take a practice test and they'll use that practice test as the content to then personalize the practice for your student. May students opt out of SAT school day? It's not advisable because this is a free opportunity for them to gain that practice. And because a lot of schools are test optional or super scoring, there's really not a downside to participating. We do encourage all of our students that are eligible to take the test to be there on that day. Is there any practice site for the ACT test? Not like Khan Academy, but ACT does have ACT Academy. They have some review sites, and they do have some practice tests posted online. So you can go to the ACT student and parent site, and they will have resources there to help support you prepare. I know there's also preparation books that you can get at Barnes & Noble or online through Amazon. National Merit Summer Program invitations should be going out in late spring. We try to send those out prior to students leaving for the school year. However, I will say it is good for those students to continue to check their email in June because last year we weren't able to finalize that information until we hit the summer and we sent those out then. How many times can a student take the SAT? I believe that number is still 12. So I don't know that we have any students that are going to take it more than that number of times. I want to say it's 12. They may have reduced it to 8. But if you don't take your first one until the spring semester of your junior year, which is when it's recommended to start the process, then it would be really hard for you to take more than 8 before you need those scores for your college admissions. So great questions. Thank you so much for actively using the chat. The earliest a student can take the SAT, they can take it as early as, I believe, freshman or sophomore year. We've even had students take it as 7th graders when we had the Duke Talent Search program. I think now they have to be a high school student to take it. They've changed those rules, which is part of why we don't do that Duke program anymore. But remember that the SAT is measuring those skills that a student has learned in high school, the knowledge and skills they've learned in high school. And if they take it too early, especially if they take it before the PSAT in 10th grade and 11th grade, they are not exposed to all the content that they would need to be successful on it. So it's better to at least get the 10th grade PSAT taken, get that baseline, be able to go in and do some practice, because your SAT scores do stay in existence, and some colleges do require you to share all of your SAT attempts. Others don't. They just want your best or your most recent. So you have to make that call as a family, but I would highly recommend not taking the SAT until at the earliest the junior year. The PSAT is offered in middle school and in high school. So it's the PSAT 8-9 that's offered in 8th grade in our district. We don't do any College Board's SAT suite of assessment work in 9th grade. We give them that time to adjust to 9th grade. And so they take the PSAT 8-9 in 8th grade, and then they take the PSAT and Msqt at the 10th and 11th grades. Sorry. All right. Again, great questions. I'm not seeing anything else pop up. So I appreciate you being here. Again, good luck to you and your student. And I hope you have a wonderful spring semester and a good evening. Thank you so much.